So today, in this state of working and studying at home, I want to talk about coronavirus disease. But before that, I want to remind you to use masks when you are going outside, especially in crowded place, and not to be mistaken of using facial masks because it cannot prevent you from the virus itself. So let me begin. As we know, COVID-19 is a severe acute respiratory syndrome which is caused by coronavirus. So the similar respiratory disorder have been occurred before called MERS, which is occurred in Middle East in 2012, and SARS, which is occurred in China in 2002. So COVID-19 was declared as a world pandemic by the World Health Organizations. Why? Because it is a massive plague that spread worldwide. And by 26th of April 2020, there are approximately more than 2,900,000 cases around the world, with a total of that about more than 206,000, and the total of recovered people with is about more than 876,000. So what can we conclude from these results? So from this data, we can indicate that there are more people are infected every day. But at the same time, there are more people are recovering from this disease. So we can say that it is a good news in a bad news. So lately there are many questions that arise about the origins and the causes of this disease. In the early of this year, when the case had increased and was declared as the world pandemic, a rumor has spread that this coronavirus, is a biological weapon developed by a laboratory in China. Why? Because it is considered that the virus was come from a seafood and wild animal market in the city of Wuhan, China. So since then, the hoax news has circulated through the social media about the people who are infected in the local area. So the Chinese government is often cornered about the pandemic and asked to conduct an independent investigations into the origins of the pandemic, but China refused. But according to me, myself, what shall be feared by the government and the society and around the world is actually not looking for who is the patient number 0 or the person who was first infected by the virus. Instead, we should know how we should behave and act during this pandemic. We should act and think wisely. Why? Because the impact of this pandemic can be greater than the case itself. Yes, it can be greater than the case itself. So I think the world seemed to close their eyes to the effect of what could happen, and instead they blame each other and ostracize the other. So this pandemic bring negative impact to us, and they bring negative impact to the domestic economy and the worldwide economy. And one thing that is more worrying is the health issue that afflicts the health worker. I mean, like the medical worker who is handling the coronavirus disease case. And many of the corpses that is die as a result of being infected by the coronavirus. Both the patients and the medical workers, they are not accepted by the local community. Why? Because the local community considered them to be able to transmit the virus into the surrounding environment. I think it's not a good thing. It's a narrow mind because we can say that it can spread it can spread in the surrounding environment. And one cases come from Ecuador. The body that is infected by the virus are abandoned in the side of the road, wrapped in a plastic because in Ecuador they lack of coffins. And in addition, there is a case in India, so Islamphobia and or the anti-Islam movement there is increasingly widespread in India. This has led to more violence directed to the Muslims in India because they are considered to be the cause of the spread of this virus in India after grand public event was conducted there. So I think personally this pandemic is not just about health problem, but it is about humanity. Yes, it is about humanity. This pandemic has caused humanitarian crisis throughout the world. So with this massive plague, we should be able to behave wisely. We should be able to learn about what has happened there in the world. We should be able to increase our concern with helping each other, and also the most important is prevent the spread of this virus. We can we cannot close our eyes and see this pandemic as a small issue. Why? Because the case itself is big, and also the impact of the pandemic itself is even bigger. So I will ask you, let us humanize human. And also let us prevent the spread of this virus by staying at home, working at home, and studying at home. So that's the last from me. Thank you.